meeting to discuss the rezoning of the gateway municipal property. I'm excited for our turnout tonight. We have a lot of information we wish to share to the public. At the end of the presentation, we do have a microphone set up in front of seats for comments and some questions that will be answered from both our esteemed guests here to my left, to your right. We have the Rovo Council and the Gateway School Board. So we have a number of representatives here in attendance tonight. If you did not receive a copy of the agenda as you were walking in on our music stand, we did have a copy. I'm not sure if we have any extras. Mr. Harvey has a few if you need one to look at. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. I'm going to start the presentation off tonight just with the clear objective of why we're here and the purpose for. We can do that, Mr. Ritter. Thank you. Mr. Ritter, would you like to lead us in?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks very much. My name is Mr. Stone and Surgery. Will you wait?
Thank you, Mr. Ritter. The chair of the Intergovernmental meeting, Dr. Justin Calstein, is not with us right now. He's currently in surgery. He might be late, so if you do see someone running in with their scrubs on, it's not to help or assist me from recovering the flu last week. It is Dr. Calstein coming in from surgery, so he should be here shortly with us. If we can, Mike, if we can move to the next slide, please. Sorry. Okay, before I move to the next slide, just a real quick objective of tonight's meeting. The Gateway School District was in the process of rezoning the Gateway Middle School property. And we currently sit on 27 acres here, and it is zoned R1 residential. It is the hope that we would be able to successfully have it rezoned in order to have the appraisal, the property listed for more than what's currently assessed at for R1. So truly that is the objective for the meeting tonight, to review all that information, but also explain to the audience that the building is currently not for sale, as those rumors have been circulating and flying out there. We are currently looking towards rezoning the Gateway Middle School property. You notice I'm going to use my old principal voice. This will help out as I read this. You have the wireless. Thank you. Thank you. That really good. Okay. It's on. Check. 1, 2. Check.
Back to the podium.
Testing. 1, 2. There we go. Gateway School District is requesting the rezoning of the middle school property to provide options for the school board or future boards to seek the highest value of the property should a sale or lease be sought. Currently, as I mentioned earlier, it is R1 family residential. We are hoping that after tonight we can move forward with council and have it rezoned for C2 commercial. If you notice, R1 family residential, it is currently a public school. If we would move to a C2 commercial rezoning, those are the options available under that category. Retail stores, shopping center, theater, offices, business services, or hotel. These are merely options. There's a few others listed for C2. I do not have that information here in front of me. I just pulled that from the regulations. However, there are many options that can further enhance the property for an individual or marketing group looking to purchase the property. If I could just hold off on questions until the end of the presentation, please. Thank you. This is an overhead view of the Gateway Middle School property. It is currently outlined in blue. You notice the borders of Route 22 that are to the south of the screen. We have the Parkway East. Up above, we have the property that extends to the corner, but also down around Old William Penn Highway. So that's just an aerial view of the current property for which we're seated at today, nearly 27 acres. Following along with our agenda, just to give a historical presentation of the Gateway School District. From 1958 to 2018, this aerial picture of Monroeville and Pitcairn identified 15 buildings at one point in time that operated within the Gateway School District. Each red dot indicates the location of a former school which is closed, either been torn down, sold, or repurposed. Currently, the green circles indicate the existing schools for which Gateway utilizes and occupies. And they are strategically and geographically located throughout the municipality of Monroeville. One of the first buildings, Northern Pike Elementary, in 1958, was opened. It's currently an aerial view of that property. It was a K-6 elementary school. Located as you're traveling past the fire station on the right-hand side, it is currently a church. That was a former elementary school that was in existence for nearly 30 years and then closed. Jordan Elementary School. Tom Wilson, you remember Jordan? I'm not going to say you attended there in 1927. Jordan Elementary School located right off the Tilbrook Road. As you're traveling towards Pitcairn, you hit a stop sign for Ken's Auto Repair. You make a left. Jordan Elementary sat down probably a half mile down the road. Garden City Elementary School, located probably 2 miles past Evergreen Elementary. Garden City Elementary was closed in 1987. Property was sold, and it now houses an alternative educational school called New Story. Mellon Plan Elementary School, 1927 to 1981, located near the landfill. Building was torn down and now is adjacent to a park. Patton Heights Elementary School.
We're talking about rezoning our area.
Sir, listen. Give me an opportunity.
You're filibustering.
Sir, if you don't be quiet, I'm going to have to have you removed.
I will leave, but I want to make a statement. You're filibustering. We're talking about rezoning the area of the middle school.
Sir, I'm not going to apologize for your immature behavior, okay?
I'm not immature. You're immature. You're filibustering for your whatever.
I'm going to continue on with my 15, 20-minute presentation. Thank you, sir.
Good. Go ahead.
Patton Heights Elementary School. K-6, another building within the Gateway School District, one of the 15 that was torn down. Pitcairn Elementary School on the hill in Pitcairn, K-6, 1898 to 1979. Pitcairn number 3, another school, closed in 2011, now a part of Propel Charter School. One Oxford Center, located right across from the municipal building, was one of the initial first buildings within the Gateway School District in 1911, closed in 1975. Looking at past reorganizations of the Gateway School District, notice on the left-hand side the number of buildings that have been closed compared to the current buildings on the right-hand side, and the configurations. The asterisk on the right-hand side indicated the change in grade configurations in 1983, 1984. Put together regulations for school closings. Preliminary, step 1. Consider all options. Present options to the school board. Central administration has done that for a number of years, going back to 2010. Building and grounds public meetings have been held in November of 2015, October of 2016, November of 2016, April of 2017, and October of 2017. Step number 2, community involvement. Community committees need to be formed. If the school board decides they want to go down the path of selling the building, accepting an appropriate bid, and then closing the school. PD notification, which is a process in itself, and also public hearings. Pennsylvania Department of Education. Thank you. This is going to show you current enrollment trends within the Gateway School District. Each one of those buildings you will see highlighted in red the current enrollment figures with a total at the bottom. 3,300 kids presently in the Gateway School District. Interesting slide right here. Historical data, the trends with enrollment. In 1971, 1972, the 5th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, notice the 8th grade class size, 910 students. Compared with the 2017 number in 8th grade, 252. Compared with a 5-year projection of 235. Significant decrease in enrollment. Significant. Which is something the school board is charged with to ensure that we are operating fiscally sound. One may question this data in terms of how and why. Understand that families aren't having 4, 5, 6 children anymore. The average is nearly 1.2 or 1.3. Enrollments are declining throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, just not here at Gateway. If you look to our east, Woodland Hills, Penn Hills, even Plum, significant enrollments are down. Looking at our 2 existing middle schools, and really all of our facilities, our last new construction within the Gateway School District was 1970 with Ramsey Elementary School. This building we are currently sitting in was built in 1952. Mosside Middle School, formerly South Junior High School, was built in 1957-58. The age, condition, the infrastructure is a challenge to keep up. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Robert Brown, our Director of Maintenance, for information related to this. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Short, Dr. Short. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I just want to give you an overview of our middle schools that we have now. A lot of things maybe as the public you don't realize what we have to deal with here. I want to talk a little bit about those buildings and the challenges that we have to deal with, and we will have to deal with moving forward with these buildings. As Dr. Short has stated, both of our middle schools are in the mid-60s in age. We've had numerous issues that aren't really put out in the public that we have to deal with every day. Underground sanitary sewage systems that we have to maintain, keep up and running. We have roof issues at both of the buildings. They're quite costly replacements, but we deal with those every day, and they're both nearing the end of their lives. We have doors and windows that also have been replaced over the years. It's been over 20 since that has happened. So we have doors and windows that are in disrepair. They also need to be replaced in order to keep the weather out, keep our utility costs down, and keep those costs also equate directly back to you. On top of all the constant repairs due to the age of the facilities, we struggle with the future. What I mean by this is the technology that we have today and what's coming along down the road. We need to provide our students and staff with this equipment and tools to go forward in the world. That's on our end of it. It becomes a difficult task because if you look around, our buildings were built in a time where asbestos was quite prevalent. So every hard wire that we have to put in, every structure we have to relocate, we have to deal with these problems, trying to provide this for our people. And as all of you know, the more you do, the more expensive it is. Asbestos, mold, we deal with on a daily basis. Every roof that leaks, we hear they're concerned about black mold. Very, very viable concern. We're all concerned about it. You don't always hear about it, but it's here. And our buildings are in desperate need of repair and or replacement. So these are things that we just wanted to let you know that are part of what we're talking about here. The other thing we also deal with is critters. A lot of people have older houses. I'm sure you realize it's not easy to keep all those insects and mice and birds and raccoons out of your buildings. Well, we have that same problem here, and that affects every kid, every teacher, every staff member. So these are things we just wanted to bring to light to maybe help you understand the other side that you may not see. So, thanks.
Thank you. Michael, if we can go to the first overhead video. Just to give you a quick drone aerial view of the Gateway Middle School property from an angle that's not typically seen. Thank you, Micah. Can we go to the next video? Mosside Middle School property. The next animations are truly hypotheticals in terms of what new construction, new facilities tend to look like, and there's a lot of planning involved. This is by no means anything that is planned. However, I just have to pull these off of YouTube. Two recent new middle school buildings. So Mike, if you could roll that, please. We could have the next video animation of a middle school in Texas.
People on the track are running the wrong way. That's part of it.
Doctor, what are you showing us?
Sir, I'll answer your questions in 2 minutes, please. Thank you, Michael. Okay, going back to the initial objective. Please understand that this is very, very preliminary. That simply the Gateway School Board is asking the Railroad Council to rezone the property from R1 to C2. Looking out 2, 3, 4 years, the possibility of enhancing our facilities for our children is critical. We're reaching a point where 60, possibly 70-year-old buildings are inflated, they need updated. So with that, I'm going to ask that if someone has a question or a comment, they can simply come to the front of the microphone and please state your name, and then we will address it as best possible. Thank you.
My name is Jeanette Beagle. I live in Monroe. And I do have a couple questions. I have no problem calling my councilman, asking them to say yes, vote for the rezoning, but where I have 2 second graders and a kindergartner coming in, it's rezoned, the sale goes through. This affects my children specifically. I would be more comfortable knowing what the plan is with these students moving forward. Because I understand the building needs done. It's best in everybody's interest to get this property on the tax rolls for the municipality, for the district. It brings money in. But I'd like to know what's going to happen with my children, because they are my first and foremost concern.
Good question. And it's a hypothetical question because we really haven't reached that point where the district has decided to sell the property. Without question, in 2018-19, the building here at Gateway Middle School and Lost Middle School will be occupied, and that's important to know. However, if the dominoes tend to fall, it has already been stated at prior building and grounds meetings that the public still favors the K-4 elementary buildings. They are not going anywhere. Now that may change with a new school board. However, this board is committed to the K-4 local elementary schools. Now, having 2 middle schools and in educational theory, we have 4 transitions. K-4, then our students go to a 5-6 building, then they go to a 7-8 building, then they go to a high school. Too many. Yet we need to reduce that. So in order to do that, we either create a 5, 6, 7, 8 middle school, or we drop the 5th graders back into the elementary schools to have a K-5 model, a 6, 7, 8 middle school, and then the high school, 9 through 12. So, not sure if that answers your question.
Okay, to follow up on that one, because my children are at UP, I don't know where, if you decide to drop back, where those students go, because we barely have room for the students that are there.
No question. We would have to look at redistricting as far as our geographical maps locations for students. Currently, and the PowerPoint will be available tomorrow online. A number of our buildings, when we look at areas in the road over Pitcairn where students live, some of the access or buildings that they're made to go to truly can be examined and look at. So we would have to look at rearranging the boundary lines.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ray Barandowski. I got 7 easy questions.
7.
Okay. The first question is, I would like to know the potential delta, residential versus commercial. What is the delta? You sell it residential, commercial. Just the delta. 10%, 20%, whatever. Estimated cost for a new school. You should have some ballpark figure for that. Okay. When you do get the money, where's the money going to be put?
Yeah, I may forget your questions as you move
We can go, okay? The potential profit that you make, okay, is taxpayers' profit that we pay, okay? Will the money be invested in Monroeville? Because Monroeville's infrastructure is shot. The roads, the highways, the sewer system, everything like that. I'm all in favor of a school. So without a good infrastructure, it's a waste. And if you are going to build the campus that you showed, those campuses you showed are from mega cities. They have big bucks. They weren't a little small town like this. Because those were campuses. And you could have your campus, but make it a multi-campus. All the grades in here. And that would be a good investment.
First question.
The change in the difference between R1 and C2 price-wise.
If I go from residential to commercial, is it 20% profit, 50% profit?
I'll be honest with you, I do not have that answer to that. Art McNally from the 360 group that has been retained by the district. Art, are you able to shed some light on that first question?
No, we don't have an answer to it.
Wait a second.
You should have a box model already, be a history, what residential is, commercial. I know my back here. If you do your due diligence, you should have at least, what is the delta? 20, 50, 100%. Any property that's sold here, you should know what the delta is by now. Not even working on it. You should have that information on hand for all these people. That's called due diligence. You're not saying you're doing good.
We were just retained, we haven't been paid yet, just by our profit.
You have a presentation, you should be prepared for the presentation to your patrons.
This is an intergovernmental presentation. This is a cooperative presentation.
If you don't have good numbers.
You can't ask us.
We're not looking to sell the property, or we don't have an interested party making a bid on the property. At this point, we're simply asking for rezoning.
But if you call me,
Let me answer the question.
here. No, the delta will be to your benefit if you want to build a school. Because if you don't have the delta, it'll come up in your tax.
This is much higher. Based on what? Based on historical.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You have historical, so you should be prepared as a professional. You should be prepared right now to say 1%. I'm not asking for actual numbers. Ballparks. Ballparks from years ago.
Ballpark would be 20%.
1%. Okay. That's fair. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, sir, the second question.
Second question is, if you do this thing with schools, cost to build a new school now?
Typically, ballpark costs anywhere between $40-45 million for a new school.
So that sale, will it come in line with that figure?
We don't know what the sale price will be.
Okay, so we're not even close. Can we say that?
I can't say that because I don't know what the building will sell.
Do you know if it'll come into 40 mil? Do you know if this property will bring 40 mil? You think it'll make it? No? Okay.
No way. It's not worth
Okay. Good. Well, if there's no profit to cover the school, I guess there's no money to go into the infrastructure from the sale.
The infrastructure is really a municipality issue.
Well, no. The profit
taxpayers will pay.
The taxpayers have been paying for all these beginning of time.
Correct.
Plus you get assistance from the government,
Correct.
a minimum 10% to assist you in your school.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever profit is made, okay, apparently none of it goes back to Merkel because you're tax deferred to your school, right? And the taxpayers pay you this money. It seems that all the money that whatever is made goes into the coffers of the school, but not into the municipal.
That's correct.
Okay, does that sound a little like
Carton.
I mean, you want to do all this stuff, but your roads are tore up, your sewer system's antiquated, your highways can't support all this infrastructure, but you're going to have this real nice school, right? How are you going to pay for it? If you don't have the infrastructure, who will going to come here if you don't have the infrastructure?
I'm not sure I'm following the infrastructure of the roads.
Well, the infrastructure is here's what the thing is, okay? If you want any development in any community, the first thing all companies look at is the infrastructure. Can it support whatever you want to do? Well, if your roads are tore up, your sewers are up, you know, and you have all these things.
This is the roads.
I want to try to refocus everybody and answer your question at the same time. One of the reasons why we're here, and the main reason why we're here is because, and I'm going to try to shorten it, is the school district came to council. My name is Ron Harvey. I'm the representative of the 3rd Ward, which this school sits in. And the Gateway School Board wanted to rezone this property from R1 residential to C2. My memory is correct. C2 allows some 23 permitted uses. I don't have all memorized, so.
We already saw 6 of them. We should see the other 24, whatever they are.
And then there's another 16 conditional uses.
We should see what they are.
Okay. When they did that, I really wasn't ready for it in the fashion that council had gone through some previous experiences with developments in Monroeville. And once a piece of property is zoned properly, you have very little reason to turn a developer down if he meets the conditions of, so let's just go with C2. And the only control that the residents we at council has over what goes in a piece of property is its zoning. So I didn't want to zone it C2 until they told us what's going here. I was looking for that, but either way, that's of all the residents, of all the issues that called me, settled up, easy. Of all the time I've spent on council, this actually was the one I got the most phone calls about. Not potholes, not paving, not, was what's the school board intend on putting there? And my answer was, I don't know. Maybe we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit here. So the school board wants to rezone, and I'm not trying to beat them up on, believe me, we've met and talked about this. But there was a situation where municipal council, at the wish of some of the residents, turned down a development that was in the proper zoning, and we got overturned by a judge. And I didn't want to go through that. And then there was another situation where the property was not zoned properly. The neighborhood didn't want the development to come in. We turned it down, and that's the way it went. It's off the table. The lesson being, once it's zoned properly, you have very little say as to what goes there if it meets that zoning requirement. So I'm trying to explain to you my train of thought. So the issue here today when we met with the Intergovernmental Committee was this is strictly a topic of rezoning. The school district wants to rezone it C2. It is currently R1 because schools didn't matter back then. They could build on anything. And this happened to be R1 property back in the day when this was built. So it is residential property. To get the best bang for their buck, the tax buck, they wanted to change it to C2 because they think they can get more money for it.
We're not against the most money. I think what everybody wants to know is out of this portfolio of options that can be built, okay, 23 or whatever it is, okay, if the wrong option is built, say somebody says, okay, I want to put prison here, and they can't. It's C2. It's C2. And that's what everybody's worried about. We don't care. We'll give the school the money. It's not that we don't want to give them a higher amount of money. Well, we want to make sure the money is spent wisely. That's all.
Okay, well, you're a notch ahead of me. Okay. So, in the process of the school district saying, hey, we can get more money for it for C2, and me saying, I don't want to rezone it C2 till you tell me what's going there, here we are. Okay? So, I said to the Intergovernmental, why don't we invite the public and get their view on this, especially the residents, because it's not our property, it's theirs. Jumping ahead a little bit to your one comment, the school district, if they got $50 million for this property, it has to go into the school district budget. It doesn't take care of roads, potholes. That's the municipality. That's us. Okay? So it doesn't do anything for the infrastructure of the road.
But it does affect you. It does affect us. I mean, here's the thing is, if they were sold it strictly commercial, I'm just going to give you some numbers. If they sold it strictly commercial, they got $10 million. But if they do, commercial, they get 15. Well, that $5 million delta, okay, should go to, I don't want the infrastructure to get that.
It has to go to the school board. It has to go to the school district. It cannot come to Minerva.
Well, then there should be some clause that it can go that way.
Talk to your state program. I don't know on that one. But I'm just telling you that it can't. It has to go into the school board's budget, which I guarantee.
That's right, because even if they get that money and it just goes to the school and they do what they want, we as Monroeville citizens will pay for the roads and the infrastructure to support that new school.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. I'm going to make a hypothetical here. Say they get $15 million for this property. They're probably going to put it into the construction of the new school.
Okay, I understand. But if you're going to bring construction in, do you think they're bringing little Volkswagens in? They're bringing cement trucks in, heavy equipment. The road structure is out of guilt.
Well, they'll take care of everything on Gateway School property.
But you got to get from point A to point B. So yeah, they might have the nicest roads.
That's our problem. Better problem.
If you don't have the money.
No, I'm saying.
You don't have the money. You just did your budget not too long ago. You guys are just squeaking by.
That's a wrong meeting for this. That's a different meeting.
I understand.
So, I get it. But what I'm saying is that I said to the Intergovernmental Committee, I want to see what the residents feel about having this prime. You said 27 acres, right? 26. I said 26.
Yeah, around.
This 27 acres is probably would be some of the most prime property in Monroeville. This school was closed. Next to the turnpike and the parkway, 60 seconds from 22, it would be very, very valuable. And the question is, I don't care what this, I don't mind what the school district gets for it. I'm just worried about what goes here. Okay. And so, the lesson I've learned on council is, our control comes under zoning. So if, I'm going to make an example. So some developer who shows us pictures of two beautiful 4-story tinted window office buildings and he's going to bring in 200 jobs, plus turn it into the tax-paying property, we're probably all going to go, no!
We're not going to go because the thing is, if you look around here, we got malls that are shutting down. We got so many office buildings that.
Well, that's the developer's decision, not ours.
You want long-term investment here.
Well, that's two office buildings. It's not going to close them.
Look, you can take a ride and road. I mean, you got a technology center that's totally closed behind it.
Well, there's way more to that. There's way more to that. That's the owner's fault. Okay. Same thing with down here where John Eagle is. Okay. Don't let that think that that's because people don't want to be in Monroeville. That's the property owner's decision. Okay. Because we talk about it. John Eagle is moving out, and there's probably plans for that property, but it's not our fault. Going across the street here is one of the biggest geckos in the Eastern Seaboard. So, what I'm saying is people still want to build Monroeville, but sometimes the property owner butters things up, okay? And he's got bigger plans. This happens to be public property, yours, mine. And the only way we have a decision on what goes here is how it's zoned and through the school who they sell it to. So, the exaggerated example is that I don't want it to be a landfill, but at the same time, I want it to be a nice development that would help Monroeville prosper, and that the Gateway School District and Monroeville would collect viable taxes from it. So,
Like a hospital.
now, hospital tax exempt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Like C2 is done for hospital. What do you consider next one year?
C2 is not hospital. C2 is not hospital. Paul, help me out. Am I correct? C2 is not hospital. But, well, I'm telling you this. I don't know how this whole thing would go, but I would not be in favor of selling it to a tax exempt entity. So, but
if you really want to go,
We saw 7 positive C2. Let us see the other 20. They might be negative.
Well, he might not have one on PowerPoint, but I have it in my binder. I don't know them off by heart.
He knows.
You want me to read them to you?
Yes.
I was trying to look it up. Right now it says neighborhood business.
I want to see what the other C2s are.
Now you're going to make me put on my glasses.
Can we put up the first 7 and we put up the 4?
All right, under C2 you can have amusement, auditorium, banks, business college, business services, club, convention center, department store, food service, funeral home, medical clinic, nurseries, offices, personal services, restaurants and bars, retail stores, shopping centers, studios, theaters, vehicle sales room, veterinary clinics, accessory uses, and forestry.
Okay, so you have some medical with that.
Yeah, but that's not tax-free medical, that's a doctor's office.
That's like a technical school. That's tax-free.
No, it's not, that's private. It's a private technical school. We get together, we want to build a school here that's going to teach people how to work on diesel engines. That's a taxable. Okay. And then there's conditional uses, which is billboards, child care centers, a church. This is other conditional uses, though. Commercial radio towers, drive-in restaurant, drive-in theater, gas station, heliport, hotel, major excavation, public use, utility, substation, vehicle sales and service.
Any residential?
Not on C2. No.
No residential.
No, not on C2. C2 is commercial, level 2.
So a school is excluded from C2. Any type of school.
Except private, like that.
Right. But if you could build a church, it would be tax-free.
Well, that's under conditional uses.
I thought this was a school board.
Well, it's intergovernmental. The council and the school board are here. But anyway, the whole purpose and idea of this meeting was strictly about the rezoning of this piece of property.
Let's get to it.
Okay. Well, I'm trying. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on how we got here and why we're here. And the question of the day is do you want council to rezone it without knowing who the buyer is?
No.
You know, I don't know what to say.
Well, I mean, I know. Everybody will give you the go-ahead if they knew exactly what's going to go in here.
Is there a way?
Yeah, now.
Is there a way for this to be a contingent agreement?
I'd like to introduce Scotty Williams, the chairman of the school board.
All this is a comprehensive plan, and this is a step in our plan to see what we can get for this piece of property. Doesn't mean we're going to sell it. We might not get enough to sell it to do what we wish to do, and that is to build a new school. In the meantime, the biggest part of this is the school sits here, and it would have to be under a contingency because we still have to figure out where we're going to move kids to. So it could be a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road before anybody could do something with this property. Saying that, it's the school board's best interest as citizen of Monroeville. We want what's best for Monroeville on this piece of land. We are the biggest taxers, so we want to get the most tax out of this land by whichever company comes in here. Now, we could sell this piece of property to a company. They can come in 2-3 years from now, rip down the school, and then resell it to somebody else. That's out of our control. But I think council and the school board are on the same page that we would like whatever is best for Monroeville to come in here and provide the most taxes that we can get out of this piece of property. And like I said, there's a lot of contingencies here. We still have to develop more of our plan to see where some of these kids will go. And it'll be years, and a new school board can come on and say, you know what, we don't want to sell this, we're going to stay with what we got. Or times can get tough, and we can't afford to sell it. But this is just a way to see what we might be able to get out of it if it's rezoned. And if it is rezoned C2, it can still remain a school. This school can still stay here forever, C2.
But all we were trying to do is figure out what we could get for this property. Like you said, if we got $10 million, well, maybe that's not enough to build what we want to build. So we're going to have to sit on it and just eat it. But there's nobody was promised this piece of land. Nobody was guaranteed that a hospital would go here, a church would go here. The last thing we want is a non-profit on this piece of land. That's the last thing we want. We want to make money, and we want to continue to make money so we don't have to raise taxes. And that's all we were trying to do. That's it. And Ron said he got some phone calls. So we met with Ron and council and decided what's best right now is sit down, have the public come, answer any questions that they have. Because we represent you. And whatever you have to say, whatever you want to ask, we'll try to answer as best we can.
My name is Cheryl Boyce. 70 years my family's lived in the community. I also worked as the director of a nonprofit for education. So I'm going to talk about the law. First of all, under no circumstances is revenue that's gotten from the sale of a school based on the school code, which is the state law, is allowed to go back into the community. The Department of Education is going to look at the Gateway School District. It's called a reconfiguration plan. They are going to have to outline in detail to the Department of Education every single thing they're supposed to be doing. They are not allowed to do what you said. That's a violation of the law. What they can do, and what they're trying to do, is if you look at this district, and by the way, Dr. Short, you missed the school. I went to Bellwood Elementary on Bellwood Avenue in Monroeville K through 4th grade, which was for the longest time an empty lot. I took a drive recently down Bellwood Avenue. There are now houses. Other than that piece of property, which now generates tax revenue, the only other piece of property that's actually generating tax revenue, big tax revenue, is one Monroeville Center that used to be Monroeville Elementary. Everything else is non-profit or it's a park or whatever. They're trying to generate tax revenue. And the other thing is, when they present the reconfiguration plan to the state also has funding, correct, that they will provide the district once they see the reconfiguration plan. We are far from that point. Far from that point. But I do want to ask council, because there's another law the district has to follow, the same law that they have to follow, which is the Sunshine Law. A provision of the Sunshine Law says that when an entity, a government entity, which the school district is considering the purchase, sale, lease of real estate, up to the time an option or agreement is obtained, they don't even have to have this meeting. They're trying to rezone it to benefit them, which benefits us, and actually, up until the time they have to stand by the provisions of the school code, they don't have to do what they're doing right now. So I know you want to know what they're building, but based on the provision in the Sunshine Law, if you let it out to the public, will they get the best price for the property if everybody under the sun, if the Times Express and Tribune Review put it in the paper, if it's all over Facebook and everybody has misinformation, are we going to get the best property, a value for the property? Because by rezoning, think about it, we've only had 2 pieces of property so far. This is a different administration, this is a different school board, and they're looking to ask you to put them in a position that they can get the best possible price. And you know what, I'd be surprised. Why would you go through this brief unless you really wanted to put something on here that was going to generate serious tax revenue? Why would you do it? It's not worth the grief. Plus, they've got the state. This is very different than a regular person that builds. They're going to have the state down there for the reconfiguration plan. They've got to prove to the state why they're going to do it, where the kids are going, how this is going to work. And the state's going to come back and say to them, we may have questions. We may want you to do this differently. If you want us to help you fund it, there may be some things that we have. Am I right on this? Read the school code. Read the provisions of the Sunshine Law. They really have to follow this. This is just not willy-nilly, people. If you don't like the law, then lobby in Harrisburg to get the laws changed. Talk to our state legislators. But they have to follow the law. So my question is, though, if a provision of the Sunshine Law says that they don't have to really show you the details, they're in a quandary. Because if you don't say okay to changes in the zoning, and they really, based on the Sunshine Law, really have to be careful about what they release to the public, how do you come to an understanding? Because I'll be honest with you, I've seen a lot of schools closed. My kids were bounced all over, and I think this is a smart move. If they just wanted to close it, they wouldn't be asking to have it rezoned, something that's beneficial to the municipality and also to them and also to us.
I know you were beyond where we're at here, I think.
No, I asked you, no.
Okay, so what I'm asking is, do you want me to vote to rezone this without knowing what's going here? Well, that's what she's saying.
No, I just asked you, under the provision of the law, which you have to live under too, the Sunshine Law, it says they don't, to consider the purchase, sale, or lease of real estate up to the time an option or agreement is obtained, they don't have to make it public. They're coming to you and working with you on this. Technically, and if you don't give it to them, and you don't do it, you just made sure that this building is going to become who knows what. It's going to be who knows what it could be. And to sit here with two old buildings. Look, I've seen a ton of schools. You guys didn't even know Bellwood Elementary existed. I went there.
Where?
Bellwood Elementary, Bellwood Avenue, K through 4. I went there. I went to Mellon Plant. My cousins went to Patton Heights. My kids were supposed to go to Northern Pike. That's closed. My daughter moves from school.
I don't know what that has to do with the zoning.
I'm asking you, how would the provision of the Sunshine Law says they don't even have to discuss this in an agreement up till the time they have a sale.
I think what she's trying to tell you on is the focus of this is we're being above.
You're being above board.
My name is Rick McIntyre. I'm a newly elected school board member. And I've gotten to know Cheryl pretty well, Ron fairly well. I think I can maybe translate between the two. I think something would be awesome.
Especially because I know what the Sunshine Law is. She's not teaching me a thing about that.
But I think what she's trying to express is our entire purpose of being here tonight is to be above and beyond transparent.
Right.
Okay, what she's saying is this is not even a necessity according to law. We're not held accountable for being here tonight. We're here for you folks to answer questions and to be as transparent as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of the questions you're going to have, our only answer right now is we don't know. Okay? And unfortunately, that's not going to satisfy a lot of you, and I can completely understand that. I wish I had the answer. Okay?
My question is, if you simply want me to vote to rezone this without knowing what's going on.
No.
Okay. Now, on that subject, just briefly, Adam, I'll get to you in 1 second, brother. If I can just speak for 1 second, and I'll give the mic to Adam, okay? When it comes to knowing what's going in there before it gets rezoned, I was just discussing this today with a couple of our board members. The reason we want to rezone, okay, is we're being advised by 360 Group. By several, the general consensus that we've gotten as a board, as an administration, has been the value of the property increases significantly if it's on the market as C2. Now, there's arguments against that, but this is the advice we're giving, this is the advice that we're acting. That doesn't mean we know exactly what we want to put in there, or what somebody wants to put in there when we sell it. Okay, but we won't know that until we put it on the market. Once it's on the market, then we can have an idea of what we're looking at, what we're going to know, who's making bids, who's looking at what they want to develop the property into. And as was discussed with Mr. Harvey and Mr. Cinco and the mayor during our meeting, we're going to work hand in hand with council because anything that goes in there, they're going to have to go through the planning commission regardless. So they're still going to have somewhat of a say about what gets built there. And part of our agreement with 360 is that any potential buyer that comes in, when we look at what they want to do, part of our deal is going to be we're going to walk them to council and say, look, this is a potential buyer, this is what they want to do. So Mr. Harvey, you're still going to have a say down the road. We're still going to bring it to you what is going to be built long before it's actually sold. On top of that, there are going to be public meetings about the closures and about our plans for the property. So again, this isn't, if you go to zoning C2, there's not going to be a strip club there tomorrow. You know what I mean? There's still a very long process ahead of us. Okay? I can lie. There's a right now. I can guarantee you it won't be.
Now, I asked a question sitting there. I didn't really get an answer. By the way, my name is Adam Gusky. I live on Ramsey Road. My question is, obviously, the best interest of our entire community is for our school board and for our municipal council to work together. And is there a way to have a contingent agreement that if the 360 folks bring in, I don't know, whatever the case may be, a hotel, and come to you guys, can there be a contingent agreement that you say you'll rezone if you approve of the potential new occupant of the building or property?
I don't know the answer to that, but I'm somewhat in agreement to it. As long as I can look out there and say, you guys are okay with this, I'll vote for it.
Can Ms. Elizabeth answer that question?
All I'm saying is that I don't know if there can be contingency agreements like that.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Dice, I'm a solicitor for Gateway School District. Before we can enter into an agreement of sale, we have to get that court approved under the school code. It's very different than a municipality if they go to sell something. And to have all these contingencies, I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but it is not a normal course to do that. We have additional requirements than other political subdivisions because they are a school. So unfortunately, I think what we need to do is you would have to have the agreement down in place, and if that agreement goes through and gets court approved, then we follow through. I don't know that we can put in the agreement of sale a contingency for zoning.
That wasn't what I asked. Well, I asked, can there be a contingency from the municipality to the school board saying, if we approve, if the municipal council approves of what the school board wants to bring into the property, we will approve a zoning change.
Right, and for us to agree on somebody to bring somebody in, party X, whatever that corporation may be, we would enter into an agreement of sale with them. Well, they are going to want to know if they can build what they're intending to build, whether it's a C2 building or an R1. I mean, if we could get a developer in today and go in and develop it at all R1. That being said, in the agreement of sale, we have to be able to disclose to whoever Corporation X is what they can and cannot get with the land. And that's different and distinct than going through before Monroeville and getting their approvals. Now, Monroeville might say, yeah, we're agreeable to the Ritz-Carlton coming in here, building this hotel. And then it goes before Monroeville, and there's all these additional reasons why they believe the Ritz-Carlton is inappropriate. Or, and a better example would be a conditional use property versus a permitted use. And so now I have an agreement of sale saying, yeah, we're going to rezone it C2 and we'll be able to get you there. But then the buyer isn't really going to get what they want.
I'm saying long before there's an agreement of sale. I'm saying that there is a prospective buyer who the representatives from 360 talk to a company, and that company has just expressed an interest. They are then, is there a way that the municipal council can then approach, or can be approached by our representatives, our school board representatives, and say, without an agreement of sale, a potential buyer with nothing but a hello, how are you, will you guys rezone it at that time?
It's playing a devil's advocate and against my own client. We could say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and are you guys okay with it? And C2 happens, and then all of a sudden, we don't have an agreement of sale, and now I have a C2 property that the sale fell through, and you guys then are unhappy because you don't know what's coming in. So I don't think that is a resolution to this. I think that...
So working together and having contingencies isn't a solution?
Well, I'm not that it isn't a solution. It's not a solution in this instant. And you have to remember there's an additional process for the court approval. The court's going to want it. You have to define, you have to have appraisers in there. You have to define exactly all the terms.
That's part of any contract.
No. If you want to sell your property, you don't have to go to the court and get approved for this. The amount it's being sold and to whom it's being sold. A school district does.
We have to sell at least at the appraisal rate.
Correct. And you have 2 appraisers that come in. There's a whole bunch of there's additional standards that we have to meet in addition to just a normal, everyday sale. And so it becomes difficult in your scenario. If I think of something, I get where you're coming from.
Okay.
But it's not as simple as what you're saying.
Okay. Well then, before I sit down, I just encourage the board, the municipal council and the school board to continue to work together as much as you can to find a resolution that is best for the taxpayers both of the school district and for our municipality.
Mr. Allen? Bob Allen, resident of Monroeville. I believe I listened carefully to what's being said. I think the timeline of what's being said is you want to rezone the property, you then want to sell the building, and then you're going to close the school. That's what I heard. Now, I was at the Building and Grounds Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, and 360 Group said their number one request from the school board was to close the building. Because in their words, it was something like, nobody is going to occupy a building that's occupied. Now, I've watched this process, and as far as I can see, Monroeville can probably rezone this commercial in 3 months? If they were asked to, if they had all the answers together?
You mean if everything was in line?
Yeah.
Probably 2 months.
And what I'm saying is the cart is being put in front of the horse right now. Really, the school district needs to decide whether or not, if you rezone it C2, and what I just heard Chelsea say, if it's C2, you can't, suppose the school district, this is just an if, suppose Amazon decided to pick Pittsburgh as their place. And, one of the locations was over where the Westinghouse used to be. I mean, they're going to have many locations. Suddenly, there's a big influx of people and students here. The school district needs more schools. Well, C2, they can't build a new school building there without at least going through some sort of rigmarole. I'm just saying, zoning at C2 before the school district knows what they want to do is a mistake. They need to, one, close the building, then decide what they're going to do. If they close the building, they know it's closed, then get it rezoned C2 and go out and find a buyer. What they're telling you right now is they may not even want to go out and find a buyer. So why are we rezoning at C2?
I don't know.
That's my question. I think it's the wrong thing to do.
My problem is that if we rezone at C2 today, and I think he even said it, we could all be out of office and some other council or board could decide what's going to go here, and that could be a giant mistake.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a mistake to zone at C2 before anybody knows what's going to happen.
It also could be forced. I agree.
Well, you can always rezone it to C2. I'm saying, know what you want to do and then go forward. Go forward with a plan. If you don't have a plan...
I'm not trying to tell the school board what to do. All I'm saying is that I want to make sure that the residents are okay for the use of the property. That's all. It's my only concern. Are the residents okay with what they're going to do with the property? If we rezone at C2, our ability to turn down anything on that list that I told you shrinks. And if they're trying to build something that isn't in the proper zoning, we can turn it down for any reason. That's my sole purpose.
Yeah, but my point on this is, you're zoning it C2 to give the school board more options.
I'm not zoning it C2.
No, that's what the school board wants. I don't see what the more options are by rezoning it now.
Maybe the district should answer that instead of the
I'm positive. I think the best answer to that, Bob, is when it comes to having more options, it's the advice given again by 360 and by several other people that are pretty knowledgeable in real estate, is that if it is zone C2 when we put it on the market.
When you put it on the market?
Yes.
It's already on the market.
It's not on the market.
But you don't understand, not physically for sale. It is publicly known that something's going to happen here, either residential or commercial. You've got pictures showing the property and that information, public information. So anybody that's a shark wants that problem, Google, whoever it is, they know that that's available. They don't know how it's available yet. They don't know if it's going to stay residential or if it's going to.
Correct.
They know.
Correct. And the idea is we want as many sharks in the tank as possible.
But the problem is, I think what everybody wants to know is who's that shark.
Again, I completely get it, okay? This is becoming a chicken versus chicken or the egg argument, okay? And believe me, I see both sides, okay? As a school board member, I'm in agreement with our administration, with our school board, and with our the 360 group, that putting it on the market, if we choose to put it on the market, as a C2, will draw the most potential buyers. So when it comes to options, we don't know what our options are yet, Bob, until we actually start really looking aggressively for buyers. And we want to get as many, anything in real estate, the more people that are interested, the higher the price goes.
But I'm not asking what your options are. What I'm saying is a real estate agency shouldn't be advising the school district what to do with their property. The school district has to know what they want to do with their property. When you decide to sell building, then you go to the real estate agency and get them to rezone it C2. You lose options when you go to C2, and that's my whole objection here. Is don't lose your options until you know where you're going. Are you going to drive down the road without a GPS?
Maybe I'm not understanding what option we lose if we go to C2. This bill, we can keep this school forever.
If you try to say this, if we keep it residential right now,
yes,
and then you guys get your engagement, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
The 360 is still working on it. You don't really know what you want to do. You want to stay or go. It looks like you're going to go anyhow because you're telling me all the schools are falling apart.
Well, and part of that is we don't know because we don't know what we're going to get for this property.
Well, economically, from your conversation and the trend that you're seeing, like every 7 years, one of the schools is closing, and the cost of maintaining, it makes good business sense to consolidate into small ways.
Let me just say this. Because the schools need an upgrade, there's no reason to do anything.
That's right.
The Pitcairn School is a perfect example. It was closed because it would require $1 million of upgrade. Well, that school is now costing the Gateway School District $1 million every year. So you don't close a school just because it needs to be upgraded. You have to have a plan. And that's my only objection here, is there's no plan. I'm saying, if you don't have a plan, you shouldn't be making decisions.
Our plan was to see how much we could get for it. If we didn't get enough for it, then we cannot proceed with our plan. And this could remain a school under C2 forever. And if we would want to rebuild a new school on this piece of land under C2, we could.
Wait, why can't we? Why?
Why can't we what?
Why can't we build another school? So it's conditional use. But could another school come in under conditional use?
No, just us, because I think
We already have it.
we have it, and we'd have to have
It would have to be in the same footprint.
same footprint.
And footprint's large because of the size of the building, it's all one floor.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. This piece of paper I've been writing all over, it was compilation of my husband, Skip Drumheller, who couldn't be here because he went to the dentist earlier today. And, you know, I want to get some points out, but I want to start with thanking Ron to call this, because whether or not you can make decisions today, you need to take a look at what the best solutions are and what the biggest priorities are. The biggest priority is education and the tools that you have to make a world-class or very competitive school to draw people into Monroeville, right along with all those other business plans that are somewhere. And rezoning and the potential sale is still a bad decision as far as both of us are concerned. This middle school is a community asset. It's preserved, it's enhanced, it's to be cherished, it's an athletic field, it's used by the public. We walk around it, and it serves as the only park in the third ward. And in addition, the buildings and the auditorium is available for rental by community groups to generate revenue, as was done in the past few years. The intersection of Old William Penn, and this is where my thoughts coming in on this. When you were in front of planning, and the superintendent and other people who were there about the first, before the denial, the first request for rezoning, I had asked a very basic question that had to do with basically what the municipal planning code under section 501 says: all powers granted to governing bodies or planning agencies shall be exercised in accordance with the provisions of the subdivision and land development ordinance. Now, we had a subdivision and land development ordinance that was updated in 1984. Before that, it was the 1920s, and it was set in its entirety. Maybe a few things need to be updated, like oil and gas, but we had the system in place to revamp the entire subdivision and land development ordinance. Well, this document is important because it basically says what is the highest compatible use for the land. And when this school was brought about, you know, if it's rezoned, if there's another thing in its place, these funds could be spent quickly and it could be lost. Another side of that is, what is the cost to make this a good school? You're sitting on the site that you could rebuild. And this site, when made commercial or to have any of those conditional properties in use here, you have to pay attention to the question I was asking at that zoning meeting. You are sitting in an intersection that is failing, and it's the next intersection over that is the second busiest, maybe first busiest intersection is it first or second, right? Second. In the state, that is a failing intersection that now has, in addition to the Cochrane and the the John Ed building, will now have one of the biggest get-goes that is yet, their site their plan was approved. And they're going in adjacent to what would sit here as a C2 sale. And if you think that you had stacking and issues relevant to the failing intersection that was at the 48 and 22 intersection, you ain't seen nothing if you have a commercial agency in here. And take a look at what you have now. What you have now requires set times of school bus operation in and out. You've got write-ins and write-outs. You've basically got a good plan for operating the kind of school that you want. What you really want in the school is you want tools for education. Do you have the computer technology that you need? Do you have the school infrastructure that you need? No, that's why you want a new school. What's wrong with this property for that new school? What is wrong with this property coming up with a plan for building the new school here? However you plan it. Okay, and then some other little tidbits here. You could consolidate. Now, I know that's not a popular thing, but it could mean the closing of 3 elementary schools and moving students to the current campus, etc. And it requires meaningful long-term planning. And it would reduce the cost of operations. You wouldn't have as many buildings. That's true. And it's been noted already. This consolidation process was discussed, though, in January 2014 by the school board, but dismissed because it was unpopular. So, with 600 students in the balance, what's the plan in relocating them? Monroeville also has a large number of empty businesses, and Westinghouse, Tech One, and we all know about Mr. Victoria, Tech One, and behind the post office, and business routes right along the corridor, 22 corridor. So, with the current education, public, education, remember now, approximately 26% of the funding, the state provides that to Gateway. And so that means over 70% primarily comes from local property taxes. Yeah, they're a big tax element there. But you need to invest in the best place for that to happen. You're standing in it right now. You have the potential, if this is that important to you, to have a school that really reflects what you want students to learn. Do it on this property. Just do it on this property. That's all I have for now.
Closing down the elementary schools would fill this room. We looked at that in 2014, and the public did not want to lose their local elementary schools. The reason to sell this piece of land is to build a new school, we would need the funding. And this is the only land that would be worth the most funding. We could not build a new school. To build a new school, we would need funding, and we have 2 schools that are currently would be funding, and that would be Mosside Middle School along with this school.
I just want to change everybody's direction again. We're along from building a school, and they're going to have a public meeting to do that. We're here about the rezoning of this property. I just want to keep everybody straight. On a side note, the fact that the school board wants to move all the schools or most of the schools over to one campus is probably a fantastic idea, if nothing else for security, in case you haven't been watching. But we're not
for school security.
But we're not there yet. We're talking about this piece of property and rezoning. Try to keep it there. That's all I'm asking. And Bill, I think we've got another question, I guess.
I don't know. There's a couple different things going on, and I'm sorry. My name is Amy Mayer. I live in the district, but I'm also a teacher in the district, and I teach here at this building. And one of the questions, and I don't know all the history with the Tech One Park behind the post office, so maybe I've been here 10 years, but I don't know. Apparently, I'm missing something on that. But I have on here, what does 27 acres go for in Monroeville? In Governor Westinghouse, what is that property? How does anybody know? How many acres it is? How much is it up for? Or how much is Tech One up for? And how many acres are over there? Anything?
That's going to, I think, come back in the appraisal. We haven't gotten our appraisal.
Oh, so an equivalent, not compatible.
It's a comparable problem. It's like compared because this location is pretty prime.
I know it's a prime location, that's fine, but I mean, Tech One is prime. Westinghouse isn't that far. It's very close to the hospital. It's not that far. But how much?
Just so you know, the owners of Tech One Center do not want to sell that property.
We don't want to.
Tech One doesn't.
Tech One does not. They don't want to sell that property. Until some ownership changes, that thing's going to sit there dormant for.
It's a write-off. They're paying taxes on these salaries, right? Very little because of.
Let's go back to the rezoning of this property.
Okay. All right. So, how much Now, I understand what we're saying as far as the municipality being able to control, because they have to grant for the district to be able to have that rezoning. But how much say does the seller have? If the school district has a seller, how much say does the seller have to whoever's buying it? Like, how much say do they have in it? Or is it they have their $35 million and that's it?
I don't know if I get that question.
I'll answer that.
How much say does the seller have? Like, I can't...
I'll answer that after you finish.
Okay. Like, I can't, come in and say, oh, well, I don't like these people buying my house. I can't sell it to them. Like, I mean...
I think what we want to do is what's in the best interest for council and school boards for the municipality.
But can we say that no? Like in the school say that?
Yeah, we can pick and choose who we want to sell. We could sell this tomorrow.
R1 makes that more difficult.
Excuse me?
R1 makes that more
R1
difficult.
makes it more difficult.
We can meet with the municipality and agree on a group to sell it to. And we sell it to this group. Now, this group could come in, rip down the school, and then sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's after we already sold it.
That is true. That's a weakness in the system, and that is 100% true. I mean, ABC company could come to an agreement with the school district and say, we'll give you $20 million for it. And the school district says, okay.
And we talked to the municipality.
3 months later, ABC company sells it to somebody else. And there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, that could happen in major zoning. That could happen in R1 or C2.
Well, that's right. That's the loophole of the system.
Mr. McDowell.
One more question. One of my concerns about this too is, of course, being a teacher is for the students that are here, and also for resale value of homes and things like that. If you look at the property over at Mount Sinai Middle School, so being with that like one campus kind of area, in my opinion, unless there's like more property hidden somewhere, you can't fit, a 6, 7, 8 building there, and also then the fields that we have here, like the track, the practice fields, the football fields, the baseball fields, the extra soccer fields. And what I don't know if a lot of people understand is Gateway Middle School is, and I'm not saying, I'm just putting it out there. Gateway Middle School is often used. If you come here 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, it's used by Winter Guard, it's used by volleyball up at the high school, it's used by community volleyball organization, it's used throughout the entire year, well into the evening hours. Okay? There are not, if there's the way that the soccer fields have to be used, they have to be coordinated because there's not enough practice fields. Like the girls' soccer practices, whenever the boys are on, they have a game, things like that. It's just a dance of when things are used. And I know some people are saying, well, who cares? It's just soccer fields. Who cares? It's this. If you start to get rid of things that are offered to students at every level, families are not going to want to move here. So, the people that are saying, well, just get rid of middle school sports. You know who gets rid of middle school sports? Schools like Woodland Hills. We're not Woodland Hills, newsflash. Okay, I know some people really like to downgate me that way, but we're not Woodland Hills. We're not Penn Hills that is, $245 million in debt, where we need to look at things like cutting every single program. So it's one of those things that the more you cut, the fewer people are going to want to move here. And I know some of you are saying, well, I don't have kids in the district, who cares? But it matters. It really does. So,
okay, folks, let's stay on the subject of this school. Though I appreciate what she said, believe it or not, around the country, in case you haven't been watching, is campus, the way Gateway School District wants to start moving everything over to campus, I just say is a trend. It's the way it's going. But we're talking about the zoning of the school. So,
we are talking about the first step, and you're looking 100 miles down the road.
When they put this school up for sale and talk about the structure of a new school, that's when you want to bring that stuff up.
Okay.
Hey, good evening. My name is Art McCauley. I'm with RE360 Real Estate Firm, and appreciate everyone's time here. We were asked to evaluate the school in terms of positioning it for sale, and we looked at fiduciaries representing the school board and the municipalities, the citizens of the school district, as the highest, best value we could get for that property. In our opinion was a C2 classification would generate the highest sale price because it offers so many options to potential buyers. R1, certainly someone could come in and purchase the property under an R1 zoning classification and then go to the municipality and see if they would rezone it. That's a bit of a risk, so it does affect the buyer's attitude towards purchase. So they may have a contingency, they come in, present it to us, we take it to the school board in turn goes to the municipality and has it rezoned based on their intended use. And that could be a good outcome. But in our view, it maybe reduces the value of the property because it requires extra time and energy and expense by the developer to get that zoning done. And there's zoning attorneys out there, they get big bucks to handle these negotiations. So our recommendation as a fiduciary was to try to get the most we could for the property, hence the recommendations for C2. No hidden agenda, we don't see any specific purposes. We want to open up to the broadest market possible and try to get the best value. I would like to make one correction. It's not our opinion that the school has to be closed in order to sell it. It can be sold while it's occupied. There's no problem with that. And answering your question, the teacher question about the restriction, you could put in a deed to restrict it. So, for example, you could sell it under its R1, you could put in a deed to restrict no further schools to go in there. So you could limit a for-profit school or another non-for-profit school going in there. You can put that in the deed. So there are approaches to this. We look at the more global approach, try to achieve a C2 to get the highest and best return. Thank you.
We're going to take one more comment here, sir.
Hi, my name is Jared. I live in the district. So my question is, the board is wanting to rezone it to see what kind of value they can get from the property. And so why do we have to physically rezone it to figure out from 360 how much we can get from the property? Why do anything until we know what we can get? Maybe 360 is not the answer. Maybe we've got to go to a different real estate appraiser, commercial real estate appraiser, commercial real estate company to find out what the value is before we rezone it, right? So
I think I have a fairly simple answer to that.
Okay.
As with anything in retail or any real sale of value, market kind of dictates value. So until we start getting people interested in the building and start getting numbers from multiple entities, we don't have a really clear actual sense. We're going to have an appraisal.
They don't have a ballpark? I mean,
we have a ballpark.
There's real estate appraisals.
We have a ballpark.
That specialize in commercial real estate. They give you those ballparks. So then you would know, hey, here's low end, here's high end.
Right.
What I'm going to get. And based on those numbers, now you have a plan like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Let's rezone it. Let's go.
And we do have those numbers, and I think.
He said you didn't have the numbers.
No, we have ballpark ideas.
He said he doesn't have ballpark numbers. I had to drag 20% out of it.
And he did.
You asked specific about differences between R1 and C2.
And he said 20%.
He said a ballpark of 20%.
You're telling me now that there's some numbers. So what are the numbers?
So that 20% is based off of a ballpark number of what we believe and what 360 believes the property may be worth. But we don't have an actual sense of that until we start getting actual interested parties involved.
Certainly,
and the more people we have interested, the higher that number naturally is going to go. And
sure.
We believe that with the C2 zoning, that's going to attract the most number of potential.
Yeah, but does that
people know that it's going to be C2 if they bid on the?
Not necessarily.
Oh, yeah. Well, regardless, but if you know what that ballpark is, then you know based on the high end, hey, here's what we can do with that money. Exactly. Now we have a plan, so let's go forward with that plan. As opposed to trying to say, I mean, that doesn't, like, I'm not going to put my house up for sale just to see how much I'm going to get. It's, hey, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to make that call based on what an appraiser has told me, how much, or a real estate agent has told me, hey, here's the high end that you're going to get, here's the low end you're going to get. I'm not going to put it on the market and be like, well, let's hope. You know, I'm going to say, well, I know I'm going to be within this realm in order for me to make that decision. Great, so then why not wait for that appraisal and those values prior to rezoning? Let's hear what those numbers are before we rezone. That's all I'm saying. And then we can talk about all this other stuff about the school and the kids, and we get all that, but why even rezone until we know what values are? Thank you.
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and hats off to Ron Harvey and your board for setting this up for you guys. The mayor and the council, and also the fellow school board people that are here. I hope that we've enlightened you, and I hope you stand behind our goal to our comprehensive plan. Doesn't mean things are going to get done, but just so everybody's on the same page, and hopefully we got rid of some rumors out there. Thank everybody for coming. Hey, everyone.
So what are we going to do moving forward?
It's up to council to vote on it, then we'll move from there.